Hi. Hello, hello, hello. We have two communities here. We have YouTube Live and we have Instagram Live that is going on as well. And so I am super excited. This is the first live that the BFAB collection has done for 2023. So, welcome to 2023 on this 20th day of January. Super excited. For those that do not know, I am Latanya Bailey, the founder of the BFAB Collection. And the BFAB Collection is a premium digital stationery boutique that creates lifestyle digital planning essentials for the high octane woman. We're passionate with providing premium quality products and resources for the high octane woman in a sustainable way to equip you to be efficient and essential in efficient and effective in what it is that you are assigned to do, what it is that you are called to do, what it is that you are created to do, but more importantly, who you are created to be. And so I'm super excited to serve you guys in this way. And so I just wanted to chat it up with you guys to see how your 2023 has started off. This is a great year. This is a great day because it's the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. There's some amazing things that are going on this year. Some things that are going on throughout the nation and throughout the world internationally. And so I wanted to hop on and really today talk about sustainability and how digital stationery contributes to this space of sustainability. I am a firm believer that we are stewards of that which we have been given, and we govern the areas of which we have been made rulers over. And so the environment is one of those spaces. We have been given the land to work and also to protect. And so I want to talk about a little bit on being good environmental stewards and some of the ways that we can be good environmental stewards, but I really want to talk about how digital stationery contributes in that manner. So when we talk about sustainability, it's really a broad topic and a broad subject. I'm going to be focusing in one space of sustainability because it's not just about the product itself, it's also about the processes that lead up to the product. Is the product creation and really the product manufacturing and delivering to the customer, right? But it's also about, when I say it's about the processes, because there are many other people that are a part of a business's process to be able to deliver a product to market and to the customer. And so all of those things are taken into consideration when we talk about sustainability, when we talk about carbon neutrality, when we talk about going green and being good contributors to the environment as a whole, which ultimately, as we look out and look at this global climate change that's happening. And so one of the ways when I started this business, which I absolutely love stationery, I absolutely love paper products, whether it be notebooks. I'm more of a notebook girl, but I love using planners as well too. I am a big firm believer on writing the vision and execute. You hear me say that a lot throughout the branding and the marketing. Write the vision plus execute. I believe that's something powerful in the words that we use, whether it's written or spoken word. And we see it all throughout scripture that everything comes to life and is built based off of the word. And so because we're made in his image, he's given us the ability to use our words. Death and life is in the power of the tongue, and those who use them will eat the fruit thereof. So we're either eating the fruit of death or we're eating the fruit of life. And so I'm a big believer in writing out that which has been revealed to us and getting up and executing. And that shows our partnership with Holy Spirit as he leads us. I'm a big believer, as you hear me say, that I am equipping and serving the high octane woman, because I believe that the high octane woman is the how in her sphere of influence, known and unknown, that she carries strategies, solutions, and systems straight from the throne room of heaven, which means that she's a woman of God, which means she's a daughter of the King, which means that she sits, she listens, That's a part of discipline, right? She writes it out, she makes it plain, and then she gets up and executes. She obeys what she hears. And so she really carries the answer. And I believe that we really do carry the answer as women in the atmospheres that we have been entrusted with to be of influence. And when I say influence, I mean effective impact, and to cultivate these environments that we have been given and entrusted with. So, with that, digital stationery is so unique in the ways of which it promotes and feeds into sustainability. So while on one hand there is it feeds into many different issues, it actually can, one could argue, well, hey, what about the mining of cobalt and what about lithium batteries and those sorts of things? And we'll touch on that really briefly in this one. I want to do a different live that really kind of highlights that a lot more. But for this one, I just really wanted to talk about sustainability and how digital stationery and you supporting a digital stationery creator actually automatically kind of feeds into sustainability of the earth. When you look at global climate change, one of the leading causes to global climate change that we see today, and that is impacting us today, and that will continue to impact us in the future, is deforestation. And the degradation of forest. And you may look out, and if you read the news, if you're following, World Economic Forum, there's a lot of talk around agriculture. There's a lot of talk around forest management and things of that sort. But when you look at digital stationery, it literally preserves and feeds into preserving forest, right? Wood pulp is needed to make paper. That's like a basic or elementary type of concept or principle. In order to get paper, it is produced from trees, right? We learned that in elementary school. And so, or elementary school for those who pronounce it that way. But it is literally written out elementary, so I pronounce it elementary. Long story short is that we learned that in order to get paper, we need trees to do that. And so when you look at using notebooks, using loose leaf paper, using planners, things of that sort, and if you are a stationery lover like me, you have many, many notebooks, you have many, many planners. But using digital stationery, like, literally preserves the amount of trees that is needed for the paper consumption that we use. We use a lot of paper a year, billions upon billions upon billions, far as a weight perspective is concerned, is used to be able to produce paper products a year, whether it be books, whether it be cardboard, whether it be poster board, whether it be planners, notebooks, loose leaf paper, these sticky notes, all of these things is feeding into the degradation of trees, the degradation of forests to be able to produce this stuff. And so digital stationery ultimately, by nature and by default, because it is used in a technological way, meaning on your electronic devices, it helps feed into the preservation of forest management, the preservation of forests across the world. So, as you may see, and if you didn't know, there is a whole thing going on right now to preserve the Amazon forest. And there's a whole movement right now of planting trees across the globe to be able to help with the carbon dioxide um, absorption out of the atmosphere, absorption out of the air supply, so that our air supply is clean. We need oxygen to live. And without that, that is a main job of what trees do for us, right? And so the reality of it is that digital stationery really contributes to that. I remember when I was starting this business, and actually I wasn't even gonna. Well, let me back up. I there it is. It was a dream of mine to start and create a notebook line, right, or a journal line, or planner line, whatever you want to call it. That was a dream of mine. And I wrote it down many, many years ago of what that was going to look like, right? It was always a part of the plan to put these prophetic declarations in my products, right? However, when I started developing it, I actually started developing it from a paper product, a physical product perspective. And I was working on a course, and I wanted to offer this notebook or this journal slash planner to my clients who were going to take this course, the customers who was going to take this course. And so, but then I heard Holy Spirit this idea, because it wasn't my idea, it was his idea. And although I was actually already using, by the way, I was already using digital stationery. I was already using, Good Notes 5, or actually it was Good Notes 4 at that time. So I started using digital stationery back in 2018. I had never purchased a digital notebook from an actual creator at that time. I was using just the paper, the digital paper that came in Good Notes. And I was using it on a personal space, and then I ended up going back to school and was using it for a school perspective. And so when I started creating this notebook and designing what it was going to be like, and looking at print manufacturers and all of this stuff, it never occurred to me to do a digital product, even though I knew that it existed, and I have used it, and I had used it in some capacity, until Holy Spirit said, go digital. And then I began, and of course, that's what I did. And we launched February 3rd of 2021. So we're coming up on year 2 birthday for this business. But I began to learn, as I was developing this, just how much stewardship was being done to the environment by in the nature of it being digital. And so, for those that don't know, one of the ways of which sustainability and how we can be good stewards of our environment is eating plant-based, right? And eating whole foods, and or shopping from your local farmers market. And so, back 7 to 8 years ago, I started the journey of healthy eating, really tackled that far as a food perspective. But then I began doing other things like create and things of that sort for to be used within my own home, right? And I started looking at the processes within my own home as to how I was doing things that was like fraud, waste, and abuse in a sense, right? Um, and we'll talk about that for our sustainability, and how that is really like a pillar of sustainability is the fraud, waste, and abuse that really happens from a product perspective and the consumption rate of human beings. But for this purposes, we won't talk about it in this one. But anyways, as I began to really create these products and learn more and more, and just from a recyclable aspect of these products, of a physical product, notebook, planner, or piece of paper, you can't reuse that. Like, once you write on it, it's a one and done. That's it. You either have to store it, or you have to, get rid of it, right? And so, or unless you write on it with pencil and you erase everything and start over. But if you erase everything and start over, then guess what? That means you lose what you wrote before. You lose what you wrote before. And so I began to learn like the genius nature of like this idea that God had given me to go digital instead of doing a physical product line. But then I also began to learn how much education was around it, even though it's been out for, since again, I started using it in 2018. It's been out for a little while. It still is not mainstream, and there's a lot of education around it, because I get asked a lot of questions as far as the nature of it, how to use them, what they are, like people not knowing that they exist. The reality of it though is that I love that it automatically, I'm really, really big on stewardship of everything that we've been given. And I actually live what I speak. And so, from this place of stewardship, it began to really open up. Like, hey, here's another element of stewardship. Yes, you're a steward of the environment, but this is another way that you are being a steward of the environment by using digital stationery, because you are helping inadvertently feed into the preservation of forest management, right? You are not a contributor to deforestation, but you are actually a contributor to preservation of the forest, right? And then when it comes to recycling, so if you did not know, when you use digital notebooks, whether you purchase from the BFAB collection or any other digital stationery store, what you are doing is by nature contributing in that space. And then that product that you purchase, which is a PDF file that you upload into a PDF annotation app, you're actually able to duplicate that product and reuse it over, something that you cannot do with a physical product. Now, I'm not trying to, in this talk, I'm not really trying to move you completely away from using physical products, right? And using physical paper and notebooks or planners. What I am doing is educating you and enlightening you to an area of space that you may not have been aware of, and really giving you an alternative an alternative that can become your primary, or an alternative that can supplement what you're doing as well too. Right? Some people like to go cold turkey, and some people it's a progressive move forward to be able to do it. So, for example, when I started eating healthy, it wasn't. I didn't immediately go from day one to plant-based eating only. It was a progressive move. But some people can do cold turkey and completely go from one day eating this way and the next day eating that way. It's all up to you. It can become immediately your primary, or it can be a progressive move. So it can be something that is supplemented in that you begin to decrease how many physical products that you're using, and add in some digital products as a additive to what it is that you're doing and the system of which you use. But then and it progressively moved that way. And so I just want to talk about some of the features that digital stationery give. Like I said, it automatically, because it is digital in nature and it is used through your electronic devices, what it does is allows for you're not tearing down trees to be able to create it. But then in addition to that, there's a recyclable aspect to it, to where you are able to use that same product over and over and over and over again. Now, that is also contingent upon whether it's dated or undated, but here at the BFAB collection, we create undated products, so you literally can reuse that same product. So what does that mean? So take a product such as the 30-day month, right, which is a monthly calendar, and it takes you each day, all 31 days of that month, or 30 days. You get 31 actual templates for the daily briefs, right? So you have a monthly planner, you have a monthly calendar, I'm sorry. You have 31 daily briefs. You have a month in review where you can review and assess your month on that. You have some paper types, 6 different paper types included all in this 30-day month, right? And so let's say you're using it for January 2023, but you now want to reuse it for February of 2023. You don't have to purchase another product for me to use it for February of 2023. You just simply need to duplicate, meaning make a copy of that product, and now you can have it for each month of the year. So if you duplicate it 12 times, label them January, February, March, so on and so forth, you now have 12 monthly calendars to be able to use over and over and over again. And that's one of those aspects that actually counteracts fraud, waste, and abuse that we'll talk about in a later time. And then so that's one of the many benefits that I love about it, that I am stewarding, and I'm stewarding well, and I'm being an active participant in environmental stewardship. And so I talked about how I briefly mentioned earlier of how, well, one can say, well, the emissions that come off with the cobalt mining, lithium batteries, and the resources that's needed to develop the technology products, right? One of the things that I love, I'm an Apple user through and through. And so one of the things that I love about Apple is that you can pull their report. They literally have a whole agreement or pledge to be carbon neutral by 2030, by year 2030. And they release these reports that shows their processes and how they are becoming carbon neutral throughout all their different processes, throughout the different manufacturers, throughout the partnerships that they have with other businesses, with other people, to be able to minimize the emissions, minimize the degradation of forest management. All of these things is compiled into this report. And so you may have seen with this latest update, the iOS 16 update, that one of the ways that they do is they've included in your settings. If you go to your settings, as far as the battery is concerned, it'll show you like the clean energy, clean the battery being charged based off of clean energy, and that's now a part of your settings to turn it on or off. One of the other ways that Apple does that, and it's so many things that goes with that, so I can't cover them all. But when they're asking you to turn in their product, and like do this trade in, and they're giving you money back based off of the trade in, and one may say, and I too have said it, like, you're not giving me nearly near what this phone is worth based off of what I paid. But the reality and the truth of it is that that's a part of that recycling aspect. So a large part of global climate change that's happening is because there is a stripping of the resources of the earth at a fast rate, at a faster rate of what the earth is able to replenish it, right? So we tend to consumption rates, oftentimes we buy more than what we actually need, right? So every time we trade in a phone and recycle an old phone, when we get a new one, what we're doing is saying, hey, don't go mine for that cobalt, because you already actually have it in this phone that I just gave back to you. You get what I'm saying? Just take these parts, reuse it, the parts within the phone, create a new phone, and then that way. So we're actually purchasing a phone based off of recycled parts versus having to strip the earth of the resources to recreate that product. So that's something to think about. I kind of got into the fraud, waste, and abuse a little bit, anyways, but that's something to think about when you are purchasing more than one product. Or do you really need them? Because every time you do that, it's a stripping of the resources. Somebody has to go pull those resources from the earth to be able to create that product. And imagine if you're doing that, and think about the number of people that live on the earth. If everybody is doing that, then it becomes problematic. And so this is some of the small ways, and or very monumental ways that the BFAB collection, or really digital stationery as a whole at large, contributes to sustainability and being good environmental stewards of the earth. Hello. Thank you for joining. And so I am super excited. Like I said before, we'll do a different one where I kind of dive a little bit more into fraud, waste, and abuse and what that looks like, but some quick tips of how you too can be good environmental stewards is purchase from a digital stationery creator. Whether it's BFAB collection or any other ones, you are helping to preserve forest management versus being a contributor of the degradation of forests. Two, shop at your local farmers market. And then three, buy what you need, not more than what you need, which means that we're not stripping the earth of resources to continually recreate. So from an electronic device, trade your device in. Don't be one of those ones like me that say, no, you're not giving me enough money for it because I paid X, Y, and Z. But trade those devices in, because now you're recycling the parts, just like we recycle our waste, our trash. When we trade in our phones and our devices, we're recycling it, and we're not having to mine the earth for the cobalt that's needed for those electronic devices to run. And so with that, ladies and gents, we will end here. You can catch the replay. I typically don't post the live replays, but I will post this one either later today or tomorrow. All right. Y'all have a fabulous day.